Hey neighbors, I'm Councilmember Jason Lyon, Pasadena District 7, and this is your weekly 2-minute-ish recap of the City Council meeting. Last night's consent agenda was mostly comprised of regulatory matters, but there was one item that may be of particular interest, which is that the council directed the city manager to proceed with negotiating the sale of 17 vacant residential properties in the former 710 freeway zone. We acquired these properties earlier this year from Caltrans, and now they'll be sold to generate cash for Pasadena's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. These properties are expected to yield at least $20 million and more than 50 units of affordable housing. Next up was the budget amendment for fiscal year 2026 to add 2 additional battalion chief positions in the fire department. You'll recall that we had a split council on this item last week when a couple of council members wanted to approve the positions but not fund them, while the majority insisted that we identify the dollars to make the positions a reality. I'm happy to report that the fire chief and the finance director identified the necessary funding, and the council unanimously approved the additional positions last night, so we'll now have 2 battalion chiefs on every shift throughout the week. The remainder of the agenda last night was dominated by 2 items with a lot of public interest. First, you might recall that when the immigration raids began in LA County a couple of weeks ago, 6 of the 7 council members and the mayor issued a statement in opposition to the tactics being employed by federal agents. The city attorney was of the opinion that in order to be sure we're complying with the state's open meeting law, we needed to formally adopt that statement in a public meeting. Of course, by the time it made it to our agenda last night, the statement was pretty outdated, as so much more has happened since then, including random raids right here in our own city without notice to local law enforcement. Many members of the community turned out last night to demand that the city council back up that early statement with action. The council was able to talk a little bit about the political and policy initiatives that are already underway in the city to address the raids. We're also working with our legal counsel in a confidential setting to unpack the complexities of the situation so we can better understand what our options are. Finally, last night, the council directed 2 of its committees to consider additional specific actions requested by the public. Next up was a second item of great public interest, which was the appointment of 3 new members of the Community Police Oversight Commission. The council interviewed 6 highly qualified individuals who were nominated by various community organizations to represent diverse perspectives. It was hard to narrow those to fill the 3 open seats, but the council ultimately came to a unanimous decision to appoint Ted Smith, a retired firefighter and city commissioner who was nominated by the Pasadena Senior Center, Faisal Rashid, a PhD candidate in computational and cognitive neuroscience and the nominee of the Islamic Center of Southern California, and Latoya Patillo, an outreach coordinator for GOVIS, or Gang Outreach Violence Interruption Services, which was also her nominating agency. Unfortunately, by the time we completed the appointments and a couple of other administrative matters, we were out of time again for the Housing Department's report on the homeless count. That'll be back on the agenda when the council convenes in July. For now, we have 2 weeks without a meeting, so it'll be a minute until we have another recap. If you want to catch up with me in between, please join our first Saturday community coffee at 9 a.m. on July 5th at the Paso Royo Complex on South Lake Avenue. As always, if you have any questions, email me at jlyon@cityofpasadena.net.